A 20-year-old with gunshot wounds walked into the emergency room here at Intermountain Medical Center and later died. Tonight, West Valley City Police need your help finding his shooter.
After responding to two different fires on Thanksgiving and Christmas at the same Provo apartment complex, police have arrested a woman for arson.
Nicer weather on your Thursday, then Friday, Saturday, into the New Year's weekend. We have a winter storm watch which has been issued. I'll let you know where and who's going to get hit the hardest coming up.
And the Utes visit Disneyland ahead of their second attempt at winning the Rose Bowl next week.
Hear from the team ahead of their big game against Penn State.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
A 20-year-old is dead, and West Valley City Police need your help catching his killer. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm April Baker, in for Kelly Chapman. Police identified Xavier Bernal of Ogden as the victim of an apartment shooting last night near 40th South and Redwood Road.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser has more on what you can do to help investigators fill in the gaps.
On Tuesday night, the emergency team here at Intermountain Medical Center in Murray called the West Valley City Police Department to let them know a walk-in gunshot wound victim had succumbed to his injuries. Police then went to the scene of the crime and haven't been able to find out a lot more since then.
You know, I'm afraid to walk outside when the sun goes down. That's how bad it can be sometimes.
20-year-old Xavier Bernal went to the Redwood Apartments Tuesday night to meet someone. He left moments later with gunshot wounds.
We don't know if he met up with the person he intended to meet up with. We don't know if he encountered someone else along the way.
West Valley City Police still don't know who the killer could be. All they know is that Bernal drove with two other people who didn't see the shooting.
At some point, he came back to the vehicle and was stumbling, collapsed, and they realized he was injured.
Officers are asking tenants to check if their doorbell cameras captured anything from 8 p.m. to 9.
You know, it really is.
Sherry Lawson is saddened to hear what happened, but is not surprised.
It's like here all the time. There's fights, there's thefts, everything, all the time.
She's confident police will find who did it.
You know, a life is a life, and nobody has a right to take that life. Nobody.
Your doorbell camera doesn't have to capture the shooting itself, just anything in that 1 hour span, whether it be a person or a vehicle, can help police. You can also report information anonymously to 801-840-4000. Reporting outside Intermountain Medical Center, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Tonight, a canine officer in Hurricane is recovering after being stabbed in an incident that led to police officers shooting and killing the suspect. It happened Monday night. Police say 46-year-old Jose Palacios led officers on a chase, entered a stranger's home, and stabbed canine Rico in the neck. Officers then opened fire, killing Palacios. Canine Rico has since undergone several surgeries but is on the mend. If you want to help with medical bills for Rico's care, we have a link posted at fox13now.com.
Also in Hurricane, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services has sanctioned a troubled teen center in that town where a 17-year-old girl died last week. Diamond Ranch Academy is now on conditional status, meaning it can't accept any new clients and it will be under increased monitoring. The girl's cause of death is still under investigation. Police say she had been feeling sick before she collapsed.
Provo police have arrested a woman suspected of lighting two recent arson fires, one on Thanksgiving and the other on Christmas.
Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree shows us why police are investigating beyond these two fires.
Provo police say a 19-year-old woman is responsible for setting two arson fires in the recreation room of the Centennial apartment complex here on 320 North, 1020 East in Provo. Officials say Calliope Malinar was booked into Utah County Jail on 2 counts of aggravated arson. Her arrest made in connection with a number of fires in Provo over the past several months.
These fires occurred in the middle of the night. They occurred while people are asleep in buildings where there's a lot of people. You know, even as a fire marshal or a firefighter, you know, those things raise our level of concern. makes our community uneasy.
Fire Marshal Lynn Schofield says there are some commonalities and trends that need to be investigated more. Investigators from the Provo Police Department, Provo Fire Department, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and FBI are still collecting and analyzing evidence. Reporting in Provo, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And there were 4 separate crashes on US 89 in Davis County today.
At least 7 vehicles were involved in one crash that resulted in one person with non-life-threatening injuries. The weather may have played a role in all the crashes. Roads were wet and slick at the time. The Utah Highway Patrol has had its hands full as they've dealt with a high number of crashes.
Please slow down, increase your following distance, and wear your seatbelts.
Troopers also remind you when you see emergency vehicles, it is state law that you move over and give them room.
And the weather created quite the traffic jam on I-15 in the Cove Fort area in southern Utah. Check this out. There weren't any bad crashes here, but all of Mother Nature's work led traffic on the interstate to be at a standstill for hours. Can you imagine? Especially if running low on gas.
Yeah, running low on gas and maybe even patience as well, Dan. Yeah. If only this was the last of the storm waves that we were going to get.
Right. I mean, they're coming in lined up like a train with all the cars behind it, and we can't even find the caboose. I mean, they are out there. Beautiful view here from the east side looking towards the west side. How much snow fell? Well, this is in the South Jordan area. Beautiful morning shot. How about 28 inches of new snow at Alta? Whoa. Suncrest 5 inches, Bountiful 4.2, West Jordan Bench 3.5, Altamont, Layton, North Salt Lake, and Cottonwood Heights all picking up new snow. And here's the next atmospheric river right here. It's already raining in California. This one's coming in as the one that hit us today is moving out. We'll see a few of these snow showers around, primarily to the south of Salt Lake City, but the problem's going to be black ice as temperatures drop below freezing. Then a mix of clouds and sunshine tomorrow as we kind of are in between storms. And then New Year's Eve and beyond, huge mountain snow totals. We're talking about, another 28 inches in one storm, another 20 inches in another storm. And when we add it all up, it's going to be 6 to 8 feet. I'll have more on the forecast coming up just a bit. Back to you.
Yikes. Thank you, Dan. The leader of an offshoot of the fundamentalist LDS Church appeared in an Arizona federal court today. Samuel Rapley Bateman pleaded not guilty to charges of obstructing an investigation, including aiding a kidnapping. The polygamous leader is accused of helping facilitate the disappearance of 8 girls from Arizona Child Protective Services custody. They're caught up in an investigation into Bateman. He's accused in court documents of taking child brides and has declared himself the leader of the FLDS Church.
Settlement talks have apparently failed in a lawsuit between the family of a renowned Utah painter and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Minerva Teichard's family is suing, accusing the church of taking paintings that don't belong to them. The paintings were in a Wyoming chapel, and the family says an agreement meant they would stay there, but the church moved them. The church insists Teichard donated the paintings. The case was in settlement talks, but new court filings say those have not been successful. A federal judge in Wyoming set a trial for January of 2024.
Before Utah takes on Penn State in the 109th Rose Bowl game this Monday, the teams received a warm and whimsical welcome from the happiest place on earth. This festive parade along Main Street at Disneyland is a time-honored tradition ahead of the big game. It also marks the first pregame appearance for the Utes and Nittany Lions. Here's some of the Utes players and head coach Kyle Whittingham riding in horse-drawn carriage style. And we heard from some of them about their experience today.
It was amazing to see all the Utah fans and just to be a part of that. You dream of those things as a little kid, and so to be on the other side of that in the parade was amazing.
Enough good things about our players and the road they had to go down to get here, a lot of adversity, and they showed a lot of resiliency this year, and here we are.
This will be Utah's second appearance in the Rose Bowl in as many years. They're vying for their first victory after getting knocked down by Ohio State last year. The Utes finishing their regular season this year 10-3. The Nittany Lions 10-2. Also, mark this on your calendars. Fox 13's coverage from Pasadena, California begins New Year's Eve. Our very own Andrea Urban will be there bringing us reports leading up to game day Monday.
A beloved tradition has returned to northern Utah. The annual Winter Steam Fest is going on at the Golden Spike National Historic Park in Box Elder County. It features rides in various hand and motor cars and daily runs of the Union Pacific Locomotive 119. That's the engine made famous during the Golden Spike ceremony at Promontory Summit, marking the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869.
What took place here 150 years ago transformed the entire United States. It was one of the most monumental engineering undertakings this country has ever challenged and met.
The festival runs through Saturday.
Coming up, there are new travel restrictions being put in place in between the U.S. and China. We'll explain what they are.
And there is plenty of frustration across the nation as Southwest Airlines announces more flight cancellations. How Southwest CEO is responding. In world news, the CDC is imposing new COVID-19 measures on visitors from China.
Infections are surging in China, and health officials are trying to prevent new variants from emerging here. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos has details.
The CDC announcing a new policy Wednesday for anyone traveling from China to the U.S. Starting January 5th, adults and children over 2 will need to get a COVID test no more than 2 days before their departure and show proof of negative results to the airlines, regardless of their nationality and vaccination status. This applies even if passengers just have a layover in the U.S. The news comes weeks after China started lifting its nearly 3 years-long COVID lockdowns and easing extensive testing policies. Now, it's seeing soaring coronavirus cases and deaths, overwhelming morgues, funeral homes, and hospitals, which are understaffed and short on beds. But the numbers being reported by the Chinese government are not matching up.
This is a country of 1.4 billion people. They claim just 5,000 have died due to COVID. Those are not numbers seen anywhere else.
The CDC citing concerns over the lack of transparent data coming from Beijing and a need to prevent new variants from entering the U.S. as the reason for the new testing measures. America is joining several other countries that quickly implemented similar requirements, including Italy, Japan, Malaysia, and Taiwan. With China pushing to reopen its borders by January 8th, Beijing accusing the West of dramatizing the situation.
China believes that the pandemic measures should be science-based and appropriate and should not affect normal personnel exchanges.
Anna Eliopoulos, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Vatican says 95-year-old Pope Benedict's health has deteriorated. Today, Pope Francis asked for prayers for his predecessor, saying Benedict is, quote, very sick. Benedict resigned from the papacy in 2013 due to advanced age. Popes rarely do that. Benedict's resignation was the first in more than half a millennium.
National news, a mea culpa from the head of Southwest Airlines after more than 10,000 holiday cancellations, including 2,500 today. CEO Bob Jordan promised to refund customers for any money they spent dealing with broken plans.
We're doing everything we can to return to a normal operation. And please also hear that I'm truly sorry.
The fallout from the holiday meltdown could be far-reaching. The federal DOT is promising a full review that could lead to fines or regulatory changes to protect people from similar nightmares in the future.
All right, it has been a very moist atmospheric river. This thing has produced a lot of precipitation, and the next one is already moving into California. So we see those scattered showers still popping up here and there. Not very heavy, but enough to cover the roads. And when you come along a road that is a little bit, it's below freezing, well, you'll see some icy spots and slick spots. So you got to be careful. Most of this should be tapering off after a little while tonight. But how about some of these precipitation totals? Sundance, 2.70. 2.07 at Aspen Grove, Mountain Dell Reservoir, 1.5 inches. And look at these numbers. University of Utah, Pleasant Grove, Provo, BYU, all over 1 inch. Scipio, 0.95. This was a very big storm. So let's get the situation right now. We'll start tomorrow with clouds increasing. Here comes the next phase. It comes in very quickly. This is an atmospheric river right here. It hits very heavily along the California coast, and then it moves inland, and as it does, it starts to push warmer air up. So we'll start with snow on Friday. It'll turn over to rain-snow mix Friday night, and then during the day Saturday, it's going to be mostly rain, and then it will turn back over to snow Saturday night and Sunday. So totals in the valley floors may be a lot less than, say, on the benches. In the mountains, we'll get all snow, which is probably 2 feet or more from this storm. And then the next one is coming in. Here we are on Tuesday, little break in the action. Oh my, here it comes. This is another atmospheric river. Take a look at these storms as they're lined up. 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them lined up to come in and hit us. So on Thursday, we're still seeing snow. Friday, the next storm comes in, snow, and that's the way it is. Beautiful across the Salt Lake Valley tonight. Temperature tomorrow will be 38 degrees, partly cloudy in the morning, mostly cloudy in the afternoon. If you're traveling to the Rose Bowl, tomorrow is a good day to get out, skedaddle out of Salt Lake City, because it'll be pretty decent weather all the way south to St. George, as well as Las Vegas and Los Angeles. Hopefully, if you're flying, you're not going to have any trouble. So St. George again, pretty good day tomorrow, 49 degrees. Showers Friday, increasing showers popping up here and there Saturday. Downright heavy rain on Sunday. I think a few spots in Washington County will get between 1 and 2 inches of measurable precipitation. Snow levels stay above 4,000 feet. Showers Monday, more rain Tuesday late. Wednesday, showers as we continue the wet weather pattern. 38 in Salt Lake, good day for getting out and about, cleaning up. We start with snow on Thursday night, Friday, and then it mixes with rain and turns to rain on Saturday before switching back over to snow on Sunday. Some spots in the bench areas could see 4 to 6, 8, 10 inches. Just depends on your elevation. Valley areas might not see a lot, or if it comes, it'll melt. And then we have more showers on Monday, a break Tuesday with more snow Wednesday into Thursday and Saturday of next week. So the new year brings us good news, lots of snow in the mountains. The snow is accumulating and getting that snowpack into really good shape. That's a good look at weather.
A 13-year-old Layton boy found safe nearly 800 miles away after police believe he was abducted by a 26-year-old man.
I love him. I wouldn't trade him for the world. He's still my baby.
We hear from the boy's mother as she heads to Nebraska today to reunite with him.
Police say a former staff member of a South Salt Lake middle school was having sex with a 14-year-old and became pregnant with his child. The shocking details of the investigation coming up.
A Utah family grieving the loss of a baby finds their Christmas decorations gone from her grave. What they're planning to do now to keep her memory alive.
A 13-year-old Layton boy who was the focus of an Amber Alert in Utah yesterday has been reunited with his family this evening. He was found overnight at a gas station in Nebraska. He was with 26-year-old Aaron Zeman, who police believe kidnapped him.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with the boy's mother as she headed to Nebraska to be reunited with her son.
He's just my Evan.
This is Heather McConney, emotional at times while speaking with Fox 13 News from her car after she pulled over near Laramie, Wyoming.
I'm ecstatic. I'm relieved. There's just so many emotions.
McConney heading to Grand Island, Nebraska to reunite with her 13-year-old son, Evan, after he was found safe at a gas station early Wednesday morning.
It was sometime between 3 and 4 this morning when we were told, hey, come pick up your son as soon as you can. I wasn't wasting another second.
This comes after police believe Evan was abducted by this man, 26-year-old Aaron Zeman, using one of his many aliases. Police say the suspect had been communicating with Evan through an Oculus VR device before driving from Arizona and getting the teen to leave his home late Monday night. Those hours not knowing where her son was is something McConney says she wouldn't wish on her worst enemy.
It is every parent's worst nightmare.
That nightmare, McConney says, beginning after she found out Zeman had been communicating with her son previously before she reported it to Layton police at the end of November.
She had brought in his phone, and we had that and we were going through issuing subpoenas and investigative requests with Twitter and TextNow and other places to try and identify the suspect.
Layton Police Lieutenant Travis Lyman says they were waiting for the results of those subpoenas when Zeman ultimately found other ways to get in touch with the teen and convince him to go with him from Layton. they traveled nearly 800 miles away. Lieutenant Lyman says it wasn't until a clerk at a gas station in Grand Island, Nebraska noticed something was suspicious that police were able to locate Evan and arrest Zeman.
We're sure grateful that that this person was paying attention and saw that this car was, and the people in it were hanging around longer than they should have.
I am forever in debt to this individual.
Now, while braving the snowy conditions on the road, all Makani wants to do is just get to her son.
Honestly, other than just giving a big hug and not letting go, I don't know what to say to him right now. I love you. That's all that matters.
Well, I did ask police what charges the suspect could be facing in all of this, and they did tell me that a charge related to kidnapping and the online enticement of the victim in the weeks leading up to this is possible. They said this case could also be prosecuted federally because that child was taken across state lines without the parents' consent. In Layton, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Police say a former staff member at a South Salt Lake middle school became pregnant with a 14-year-old student's baby.
Fox 13 News reporter Lucy Nelson has details of this investigation.
Disgusting, gross. Why would anyone think that's a good idea? Like, shocked.
Thoughts going through Deborah Hanger's mind when thinking about what police say happened just across the street from her home in South Salt Lake City.
Working from the table in here and looking at the school, I'm like, ew. Gross.
A former staff member at Granite Park Junior High was arrested Tuesday. Police saying 29-year-old Kimberly Cruz Romero was having sex with a 14-year-old student and became pregnant with his child. Cruz Romero was an attendance tracker at the school. Here in my hand are arrest documents which say photo and video evidence supported the 14-year-old's reports he had sex with Cruz Romero several times in her office, in her car, and in a hotel room. The boy also reported being threatened by members of a gang Cruz Romero is involved in for wanting to end the relationship with her.
I guess you'd want to find ways to protect your kids in the best way that you could, but if they're at school...
Hanger trying to wrap her head around what parents of the children at the school must be thinking right now.
I mean, all you can teach them to do is react to a situation like this, if you can even think of how to react to a situation like this.
The Granite School District released a statement Wednesday morning saying Cruz Romero was fired. It reads, in part, "Student safety is our primary concern, and we take these charges very seriously. There is currently no indication from Granite Police that any other students were involved." When Cruz Romero was taken into custody, she told investigators she recently went to Mexico to have a surgery for a miscarriage. She is being held without bail in Salt Lake County Jail and faces multiple felony charges, including rape of a child. In Salt Lake County, Lucy Nelson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A family grieving the loss of their baby girl is also dealing with the loss of a special way to remember her.
Fox 13 News reporter Mahili Gooby spoke with the family at Midway about how a tree they decorated for their daughter was stolen from her grave.
Baby Twitful. She loves her baby Kaisley's sister.
Kaisley Price was born last January.
She was happy all the time,
but died suddenly over the summer.
Just a week shy of turning 7 months old.
So her mom, Chris, and the rest of her family...
Hi, Corinne.
Decorate her grave. Over Christmas, they decorated a tree for baby Kaisley.
So we had some really pretty sequin butterflies on it that I'd found. Everything on the tree was pink. And then there was a photo of Kaisley.
But the day after Christmas, the tree was gone.
I really wasn't surprised. And I told my husband, we can't let this upset us. We'll just get a new one next year.
The family wishes this never happened.
I'll have an entire lifetime of buying my children things, and this is the only thing that I can do for her. So it's been really important to me to make her resting place look pretty.
But used it as a teaching moment for Kaisley's brothers and sister.
It was just sad that somebody took something that wasn't theirs, and we told our kids, remember how this makes you feel and just make sure that you never do anything like this to somebody else.
Another way the Price family is keeping their baby's memory alive by paying forward the kindness they received.
I was at the hospital having Kaisley, and I had my 3-year-old daughter with me. And so they had a gift basket there with kid things in it, coloring books and bubbles and stuffed animals. And I know that another mother or nice person donated that basket.
So they're making gift baskets for babies and moms at the hospital and plan to deliver them the day before Kaysley's first birthday in her honor.
When you're grieving, instead of focusing on what you are missing or, your pain, if you can focus on giving to others, I think that it can bring you joy.
I'm Maithili Gobi reporting, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, the Salt Lake City Council is deciding whether to keep ranked choice voting. We look at the pros and cons and how it could impact upcoming elections and the rest of the state.
Salt Lake City could be making a big decision next month. They will consider whether to keep ranked choice voting.
As Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow explains, it could have a big impact on the upcoming mayor's race.
Salt Lake City Council member Darren Mono was elected in the city's first ranked choice voting election.
There were 5 in my election, and I would say it made it exciting. We didn't know exactly what to expect until we got really to Election Day.
Salt Lake City will decide soon whether to continue with the new form of voting in next year's municipal races. In traditional voting, you pick one candidate. Under ranked choice voting, you rank all of the candidates in order of preference. It eliminates a primary election and does change how campaigns work. A candidate can no longer rely on their base turning out just to get them elected. Some say it leads to less scorched earth campaigning because someone with enough second or third choice votes can actually win if they collect enough.
We all spent a lot more money than I think the average of other years has been, and I can't say that that's definitively because of ranked choice voting, but it probably had something to do with it.
Chris Hughes with the Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center recently visited Salt Lake City to talk to people about what worked and what didn't in the last municipal elections.
Voters liked using ranked choice voting. They understood how to rank. They liked how the elections happened. They liked how campaigns were run. They were happy with the results. But as it always goes in politics, some of the politicians themselves weren't happy with the results. Whether they won or not, some of them were frustrated with the process.
The Utah State Legislature created a pilot program to let cities experiment with ranked choice voting. In the last municipal election cycle, 23 cities did it, the largest being Salt Lake City and Sandy. But there's been no appetite to expand it statewide so far. The Lieutenant Governor's office has concerns about some of the logistics of it.
We have practices from Alaska, from Maine, which are also really big, rural states with voters far flung from the center of the state that have run ranked choice voting elections statewide.
The Ranked Choice Voting Center says it provides support for governments that want to try it.
Based on voter response, at minimum, people will want to keep using ranked choice voting, but it does come down to what politicians have power and what they want to do to change it if they didn't like it.
Councilmember Mono says he thinks it should be considered again.
I think it's something that we need to look at, and anything we can do to get constituents and voters more engaged and more excited about elections is good.
In Salt Lake City, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Next in sports, who's the latest high-profile Cougar to say sayonara for the NFL Draft? Plus the Jazz in play as well tonight. Could they fend off a depleted Warriors squad? Back in a bit.
Question, has Mike finally broken back?
More change brewing for BYU football after Puka Nacua this morning declared he is joining teammate Jaren Hall and trying his hand at the next level. The Utah County native is the third Nacua brother now to leave BYU for a shot at the NFL, saying on Instagram, "I will see you on Sundays this fall." After spending his first 2 years at Washington, Nacua has been the Cougars' leading receiver the past 2 seasons, racking up 16 touchdowns and over 1,400 receiving yards over that time. He has 7 triple-digit receiving games in Provo, and that was despite missing 4 games this season alone due to injuries. Some are projecting Puka as a Day 3 draft selection, and he'll participate in the Senior Bowl come February. In other BYU news, defensive back Gabe Judy Lawley is entering the transfer portal again. The junior was at Vanderbilt before that and has 2 years of eligibility remaining. He played in all 13 games this season for the Cougs, recording 46 tackles, 6 pass deflections, and a sack. It was 2 years ago that Jackson Dart made waves as a high school football standout at Corner Canyon, earning Gatorade Player of the Year honors that season. And after a freshman stint at USC, Dart took his game up a notch in year 2 after transferring to Ole Miss, strapping up for his first career bowl game, the Texas Bowl, one of 4 on the schedule Wednesday. Then again, the first half was a nightmare for Dart, who prepped at Roy as well. Ugly ball, one of 2 interceptions by Texas Tech there. Marquise Waters on it, setting up Tyler Shaw to lift the Red Raiders up 17-7. Then a third turnover by Dart, this time getting clocked and fumbles the football. Tech with a commanding 26-7 lead at the break. He did find the end zone in the third quarter, though. Nice 11-yard lead for Jordan Watkins. But too much Texas Tech in this one as they lead big in the fourth. The Jazz have been hovering near or around 500 for some time now. They're 2 games above as it sits, but are presented with a good shot to get to win number 20 tonight, with Golden State currently short-handed. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins all out for the defending champs. They did still have Draymond, though. Productive opening quarter for Utah. Lauri Markkanen after the whip out from Colin Sexton. Then to end the frame, the guy who came over with Lauri in that Donovan Mitchell deal, Sexton himself, to lift the Jazz up 10. The lead's still 10 in the third after the Jordan Clarkson teardrop, but credit Golden State roaring all the way back. Ty Jerome doing his best Steph impersonation. Dante DiVincenzo adding a triple of his own soon after. Second bad loss in a row for the Jazz, 112-107. The Stars, meanwhile, were south of the border tonight at the Mexico City Capetillones. The Lone Peak kid, Frank Jackson, quick layup underneath for the Salt Lake lead. Turnover problems late, though. Mexico City going the other way, where they finish with a dunk. The Stars lose 111-103. Same 2 teams go on Friday. And Southern Utah's first ever conference game as a member of the WAC, watching New Mexico State score the game's first 10 points in Las Cruces, DeChandre Washington. But 6 minutes later, the T-Birds settle down and take their first lead after Cam Healy dials up. 11 off the bench for him. The lead widening to double digits in half 2. Tough fading bank by Harrison Butler. And SUU victorious, 79-75.
Morgan, thank you so much.
Modern Family is next. Good night.